Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'll be explaining you about the introduction to turbines and the heads and efficiencies related to turbines and easy way to remember the formulae of efficiencies of turbines. Okay, so coming to the introduction part, what are hydraulic machines actually? Hydraulic machines are those which use water in their operation. Okay, so such machines which use water are basically of two types. So one class of machines or one type of machines convert hydraulic energy, which is nothing but the water energy coming from the water, to mechanical energy. And the second type of machines, hydraulic machines, convert mechanical energy to hydraulic energy. So both of them are called hydraulic machines. Now, the hydraulic machines which convert hydraulic energy to mechanical energy are known as turbines. Okay, so you know a turbine, right? A turbine generally takes water as the input and it gives mechanical energy as the output. Then whatever the output is coming from the turbine, that is nothing but the mechanical energy, will be converted later on into electrical energy by the help of a generator. Okay, so this generator will take the mechanical energy as the input, whichever is coming out as the output from the turbine, and it will convert this mechanical energy to electrical energy with the help of shaft. So this is how the energy conversion takes place. So but actually turbines convert only hydraulic energy to mechanical energy, and those hydraulic machines which convert the reverse of this mechanical energy to hydraulic energy are known as pumps. And in pumps again we have two types. You have centrifugal pumps and reciprocating pumps. So I have a flow chart for you. As I've told you, we have first hydraulic energy, nothing but water. So that will be the input for your turbines. So your turbines take the water as an input and they rotate and they give out mechanical energy. Okay, this is the flow chart related to turbines. The same mechanical energy will be the input for a generator, which is the output of this turbines will be the input for a generator, and it will convert into electrical energy. This is how the step goes on. Now you can observe in the diagram, this is the layout of a hydroelectric power plant. So see here, in this hydroelectric power plant, I'll be telling you some important heads and also some important parts or components of this power plant. Okay, now observe, you have a reservoir here to store the water whichever is coming from a river, and you have a dam, and then you have a penstock. See this, you can see a pipe, right? These are called penstocks. Penstocks are the pipes of very big diameter which carry water from the reservoir or from the storage system to the turbine. You can see the penstock is right from the reservoir, it is laid until it is falling onto the turbine. So till here the water will be traveling with the help of a penstock only. And you have a surge tank here. I'll tell you what's the purpose of a surge tank. Then you have a turbine here. Turbine or the runner. Runner is nothing but the rotating part of a turbine. So a turbine is there. Runner with buckets are fitted. These buckets are also called as vanes. And water will fall onto these vanes, and this vanes or the runner, whichever is rotating, it will take this water, the hydraulic energy as the input, and it will give out mechanical energy. That mechanical energy directly will be given to the shaft, and this shaft will convert the mechanical energy to electrical energy. So in this entire diagram we have some important components to be remembered. First is the storage system where the water is stored. Next you have the dam across which across a river or you build a dam so as to stop the water. That's how a reservoir is there. Next you have penstock. Penstock is nothing but a pipe which is of bigger diameter which will carry water from the reservoir or storage system to the inlet of the turbine. Next you have the surge tank. As I was telling you, surge tank is nothing but whenever there is a very large distance from your reservoir or the storage system to the input of the turbine, when you can't, when there is large distance among both of them, you construct a surge tank. Okay, it's like a intermediate storage system. It's also called a surge drum or surge pool. Okay, there you can store the water. That's for one purpose. And second purpose is that suppose when after the water entering into the penstock and there is any technical problem at the inlet of the turbine such that your turbine is not working, already the water is inside the penstock, then you can't send the water back again into the storage system. Then what we will do, we will store this water inside a surge tank. Why? Because we can't leave the water inside the penstock. Why? Because it may cause a water hammer effect. So for this you create a intermediate storage system called as a surge tank or a surge drum or a surge pool. Okay, next is the main rotating part of your turbine or your turbine itself, which is called as runner, which is fitted with vanes. Okay, and you see you have another important component here called tail race. See, whatever water is falling on the turbine, the complete water will not be converted into mechanical energy. Some of the water will go waste. So whatever the excess water, whichever is left over after falling on the turbine, that will be collected and discharged into a tail race. Okay, so see here, the first component, a dam constructed across the rivers to store water, as I've told you. Next, pipes of large diameter called penstocks, as I've shown you here. See, this is your penstock to carry water under pressure from storage reservoir to the turbines. As I've told you, these are generally made up of steel or reinforced concrete, and turbines having different types of vanes fitted to the wheels. So here you have a turbine which is fitted with buckets or vanes. This rotating part, actually this is a wheel. Okay, you know wheel, right? So on this wheel, on the periphery of this wheel, you have the buckets fitted. So this wheel in combination with this buckets completely is called as a runner. So runner is a rotating part of your turbine. So when you say the turbine is rotating, it means that your runner is rotating, which indirectly means that your vanes are also rotating. Next, as I've told you, tail race, it is a channel which carries water away from the turbines after the water has worked on the turbines. As I've told you, whatever water is falling on the turbine, it's not completely converted into energy. Some of the water will be wasted. It's nothing like but the excess water that will be discharged into a tail race. Okay, you can use this water again to fall onto the turbine, or you can use it for any other purpose. Next, coming to heads, this is very important part. Heads and next upcoming efficiencies are very important terminology related to turbines. Okay, coming to heads, so see this diagram again. See here you have gross head, right? And next you have a net head. For turbines we generally have only two heads, which is gross head and net head. So see the gross head, right from the surface of the tail race to the surface of water in the reservoir, which is also called as head race. So the difference of head or the height between the head race of the reservoir to the tail race surface of water is known as gross head. Okay, it's the total head, the difference between the head race level and tail race level. Okay, when the water is not flowing, when the water is at rest position, that's called as a gross head, and we denote it by the symbol Hg. Okay, next we have another head called net head, which is the important one. Net head is nothing but, see here, now as I've told you, when the water is at rest position, you are having the whatever height of water you're measuring, you're calling it as gross head. But there might be some losses when the water is released into the penstocks due to friction between the water and the walls of the penstock. So what will happen after all the losses taking place? The exact head of water whichever is ready to fall on the turbine is called as net head. Okay, I'm repeating, net head is nothing but the effective head or the exact head whichever is falling on the turbine after all the type of losses happening. See, it's also known as effective head and is defined as head available at the inlet of the turbine. Okay, and you can observe this net head H is equal to gross head minus HF. Okay, you generally have the terms, right? Gross salary and net salary. So gross salary is what actually is assigned to you. Net salary is what you are getting into your hand after all deductions. Similarly, you have some gross head, but what is the actual head falling on the turbine is your net head, which is given by gross head minus friction loss, HF. Okay, so when you are solving for problems, or when you are talking related to head in turbines, means it is only net head. Okay, so it's given by Hg minus Hf. That's about the heads of a turbine. So we have gross head and net head. Gross head is the difference between the head race level and the tail race level, and net head is the gross head minus head loss due to friction. Next, coming to efficiencies of a turbine. This is very, very important. We have totally 4 efficiencies related to a turbine. The first one is hydraulic efficiency, second one mechanical efficiency, third one is volumetric efficiency, and the fourth one is overall efficiency. Okay, so in these 4 efficiencies, the first one hydraulic, second one mechanical, and the fourth one overall are very, very closely related to each other. Okay, now let's try to get the relation among them. So see here, actually these are the formulas related to the efficiencies. I have put all together at one place. See the hydraulic efficiency formula, Rp by Wp, mechanical efficiency is Sp by Rp, and overall is Sp by Wp. If I say like this, you will never remember. Okay, so for this I'll tell you one easy process. Listen. So what actually is happening in turbine? Turbine is taking the water, turbine is rotating, and turbine is converting the energy. Correct? So what is the first input of a turbine? Water. Okay, water which is coming and falling on the turbine, which is nothing but the supply at the inlet of the turbine, as I've shown you in this figure. Okay, the supply exactly at the inlet of the turbine. Then what is the second step? The turbine is rotating and it is converting the energy. Next, what is happening? Whatever is energy coming out of the turbine, nothing but your mechanical energy, is converted into electrical energy. This is the process. So I have divided the entire process into 3 steps. See here, power supplied at the inlet means nothing but, here power means, don't think something else, power means energy. Energy supplied at the inlet, as I've told you just now. Next, power available at the runner means what? Where the turbine is rotating or the runner is rotating. What is the third step? Energy conversion, right? Mechanical energy to electrical energy. That's what here. Power available at the shaft of the turbine. So totally we have 3 steps. Whatever power is supplied at the inlet, I mean before falling on the turbine, whatever water is ready or whatever energy of the water is ready, that's called as water power. Remember this, okay? Power supplied at the inlet is called as water power. Next, power available at the runner means this water came and fell on this runner and the runner is rotating, right? So that power available at the runner is called as runner power. And remember, runner power means the power available at the runner is always less than the water power. Why? Say some head H is ready to fall on the turbine, but when the head H is falling on the turbine, again there may be some losses, right? So exactly, if suppose here there is 10 meters head of water, exactly 10 meter head of water will not fall on the runner due to some losses, due to frictional loss. So obviously the power available at the runner will be less than the power available at the inlet, which is water power. So indirectly this is Wp, this is Rp, runner power. Okay, now your runner rotated, your hydraulic energy got converted into mechanical energy. Where is this mechanical energy immediately going to? The same, the output of your turbine is directly connected to a shaft, and the shaft is connected to a generator. So directly the mechanical energy is going into the generator through the shaft. So next is power available at the shaft. Again, the power available at the shaft will be less than the power available at the runner. Why? Again, due to energy conversion, some head will be lost, some energy will be lost. So this is the power available at the shaft. So totally 3 steps. This is water power, this is runner power, this is shaft power. Now let's talk about the first efficiency. What was the first efficiency I told you? Hydraulic efficiency. So hydraulic efficiency is the ratio of runner power to water power. So that's what I have given an arrow mark. See here, it's eta H. Hydraulic energy is the ratio of runner power to water power. That's the first efficiency. Second efficiency is for the second step. Okay. Next is mechanical efficiency, which is the ratio of shaft power to runner power. Why am I taking the second quantity by the first quantity? Suppose if you observe these two, the first cycle, these first two boxes, this is the input, this is the output for this cycle. So efficiency means output by input. That's why it is runner power by water power. Similarly, if you observe these two boxes, this cycle, here this is the output, this is the input. So again, output by input, like that. So mechanical efficiency is shaft power by runner power. That's what I have written here. See here. Now, what will be the overall efficiency? Overall efficiency means overall output of this complete process by overall input of this complete process. What is the overall output of this complete process? Shaft power. What is the overall input of this complete process? Water power. So overall efficiency is shaft power by water power. And in between we got some volumetric efficiency, right? As I've told you, whatever water is available at the inlet, the entire water will not fall on the runner due to losses. That's what. So volumetric efficiency is nothing but ratio of water striking the runner by water supplied at the inlet. Okay. So see here, now you'll understand the definition. Hydraulic efficiency, as I've told you, runner power by water power. That's what I have told you, right? Runner power by water power. Next, mechanical efficiency, shaft power by runner power. Shaft power by runner power. This is what we have written here. Next, volumetric efficiency. Volume of water actually striking the runner by volume of water supplied. As I've told you. In terms of volume, you should write. Next, what was the overall efficiency I told you? Volume available at the shaft by supplied at the inlet. Means shaft power by water power. This is your overall efficiency, as I've told. So, what I want to tell you is, generally when I tell my students also, don't batti the formulae. Don't mug up the formula. Just try to write the process like this in your own words. Then you can easily analyze. Okay, for this first step, this is the first efficiency. For this step, this is the efficiency. And this is the overall efficiency. Like this, it will be easy to remember. Okay. And we have a relation among hydraulic efficiency, mechanical efficiency and overall efficiency. That is, overall efficiency eta naught is equal to eta m into eta h, which is the product of mechanical efficiency into hydraulic efficiency. You have to remember this. Okay, overall efficiency is the product of mechanical and hydraulic efficiency. How? What was overall efficiency? I told you, overall output by overall input. Overall output is shaft power, overall input is water power. So SP by WP. So I will multiply and divide with runner power. So into RP by RP. So now I'll rearrange the terms. I will write SP by RP into RP by WP. So as we know, SP by RP is what? SP by RP is what? Eta m into RP by WP. RP by WP is what? Eta h. So that's how is the relation among the three. So I hope you understood. Please have this flowchart in your mind. Then only you can write the efficiencies correctly without getting any confusion. Okay. I hope you understood this video. In my next video, I will be explaining you about the classification of turbines based on various factors. Okay. Please do watch and thank you.